Hello, hello, and first of all, thank you so much for being here. Today, I want to address why your affirmations might not be working. And it pretty much comes down to an embodiment issue. I don't want to call it an issue, but right now I don't have a better word for it. If you have been using affirmations and that if you kind of feel good afterwards and you're kind of pumping yourself up with these affirmations about feeling good every day, but then kind of throughout the day you feel like maybe you forget a little bit or it doesn't really sit right with you, or it doesn't make an actual change in your life, then I know what the issue is. The issue is embodiment. Because if affirmation speaks very much to the head, right? We tell ourselves something, and when they're really good affirmations, we're going to feel good about them. Sometimes we're going to feel kind of like we're lying to ourselves. Let's say you have an affirmation that goes, I am a multimillionaire. And you know you're not a multimillionaire, so it kind of sits wrong. In that case, affirmations don't actually work. Affirmations are supposed to make you feel a specific type of way so you can start feeling whatever things that you would be feeling once you have achieved the results that you want to. And the problem is that we have a tendency to make the affirmations quite superficial. So they speak to the result instead of speaking really to the feeling. And the deeper you can dig down into the feeling and create an affirmation or a feeling change, an emotion change in whatever that issue is. I'm going to give some examples. The more powerful they will actually be. So let's say that you want to create a very successful business. So you have a money goal, and maybe your affirmation is around I'm a millionaire, right? I am a billionaire, I'm whatever it is. And you get that kind of feeling in your gut that says, no, you're not. And then you just keep repeating it to yourself anyway because you've been taught that this is what you're supposed to be doing. What you really should be doing is addressing the issues around not feeling like a millionaire, or addressing how would you feel like if you were a millionaire. And money is very often involved in some sort of an exchange, right? We get money for whatever service or product that we're providing. And a lot of people who have money blocks or issues with money, they have an issue receiving money, they have issues around money. It's really linked to a feeling of undeservedness. It's linked to a feeling of not being good enough. And you may or may not be conscious about it. You may have feelings of not being worthy, even though you tell yourself you're more than worthy. Those are the kind of people very often that show up kind of arrogant, like boasting them, like, filling themselves up with all of these affirmations or telling very, very positive stories about themselves. And maybe even sometimes they have a tendency to put other people down so that they can feel better about themselves, right? But that feeling is that superficial feeling is very much disconnected to how they feel really deep down when you start digging into it. And we subconsciously attract what we're feeling deep down, not what we're trying to portray surface level. So, how can you make yourself feel better deep down? Let's say you have an issue around money, an issue around receiving money, an issue around charging higher prices, an issue around anything that has to do with getting paid. And let's say this issue is rooted in a feeling of undeservedness. Then what you want to do is that you want to dig into, why do I feel undeserving? What is it about me? What is it about my experiences? What is it about me growing up having this feeling of not being good enough? And maybe you're going to dig down and you're going to find examples of not feeling loved by your parents, or being bullied, or something else that made you feel not good enough. Now you have a story attached to these feelings of undeservedness. And as long as you attach that story a specific type of meaning, that story will still have that power over you. So you might ask, Rebecca, how do I then fix it? It's great for you to come and say, oh, now you know that you're not feeling deserving. How do I fix it? You fix your perception of the root problem. Now, some people, if you're already very developed in the personal development game, you might be able to just change that story immediately and be like, This is no longer who I am. I am extremely deserving now. And I'm going to feel like that all the time. And then by constantly reminding yourself of your deservedness and owning it and feeling it and tapping into it, you teach your brain and your subconscious that this is who you are now. And then automatically, eventually, you're going to start feeling deserving. Now, not everyone is able to do that because they just haven't trained that muscle yet. There are many ways to start training that muscle. Usually, you would start with something a little bit smaller, maybe. I did the thing when I decided, I realized, oh, I'm eating too much food. I'm eating, my portions are too big, and I have a tendency to eat to an extent that I'm too full and I don't feel good about it. So just decided now I'm no longer an overeater, and I stopped overeating. And then one day I went back to my old pattern because it's normal that we slip up once in a while and we forget to be intentional. And then boom, I was back in my subconscious pattern. And I felt absolutely horrible afterwards. It's the worst that I felt in my entire overeating experience. I felt so sick. And I couldn't believe that that used to be my standard feeling. I don't know if you've ever tried giving up on something that you've done really regularly, and then you give it up, you go back to it, and then it's like, why did I ever do this? Like, you quit smoking cigarettes, and then one day you're just like, oh, let me just try one. I don't feel like this need for it anymore. I just want to try it. And then you have a taste, and it's like the most disgusting thing you've ever tasted. Why was I ever addicted to this crap? Right? That's kind of how I felt with my overeating, because I was so much in my new identity of being a non-overeater that was what was home to me. That was my home identity. And the slipping back was just letting go of the intentionality of it, and then getting that. I was getting it almost like a mirror. This is who you used to be. And it was so uncomfortable. And I'll never, never do that again. It was just way too much. Okay, so that was a very quick description of how you switch into, you make a decision that now I have a new identity, and you go for it, and you live like that for long enough for it to be home. And it depends how long it's going to take. If it's not working, it might be because there's just some underlying story or something that's rooted very deep that you haven't really gotten to yet. So how do you do that? You can change the story. If you dig down, let's say you were bullied as a kid, right? And you were constantly just under the impression that you weren't good enough to hang out with other people, or you weren't good enough to hang with the cool kids, or you whatever it was, right? Then instead of looking at it as me not being good enough, it could be, oh, but only, in your head, right? We've been told hurt people, which means that bullies bully other people because they feel so horrible about themselves. So if you realize that whole bullying situation had nothing to do with you, it had to do with someone else that was in a lot of pain, and you just ended up being on the receiving end because you were an easy target, right? And whatever reason there is that you were an easy target is not really relevant for the story. But if you go back and you completely reframe the story you're telling yourself, that is creating the feeling that is getting in the way of your results. Or let's say that you didn't feel loved as a kid. You didn't feel loved by your parents. Let's say your parents weren't around a lot because they were always working. Maybe that's your story. What if they loved you so much that they wanted to provide the best for you, and therefore they worked a lot? That is a new story. It's no longer about you not being loved. It's about them sacrificing for you, right? And you might come and say, oh, but that's just not true. But what if you instill the feeling that that is true? What if you find a story that you can tell yourself? Because everything we tell ourselves are just stories. Every assumption we've made in our lives has been planted there somehow. And you not being deserving is not a very good story to tell yourself. We are all very deserving. We all have magic to provide and give and serve. And the more we are stuck in our own feelings and our own blockages and our own holding ourselves back because of all sorts of feelings or fears or whatever that is, the less magic is going to be in the world. because you're not going to be able to share your magic if you have all of these blockers in you, right? What if you create a new story? So you trace your issue, your problem, your story that you're telling yourself, you trace it back to an early memory, and now you change the story so that you're no longer a victim, right? Because that's usually what it is. You're no longer a victim. You are someone who is loved. You're someone who is supported. You're someone who just happened to be there when something bad happened. And again, if you have gone through really bad traumas, if you have something that's like very heavy, please go see a professional. Don't just, come to me and be like, Rebecca, it didn't work. Some of y'all need more help than what I have to help you with. But really try to trace it back, change that story, and then start. It's the important part is feeling it. The important part is feeling loved, deserving, feeling like what you have to offer the world is magic. Feeling like, and even if you haven't found it yet, you might not know what it is. You might have been creating success in your business and in your life, but you don't feel like you really caught that magic part. Even if you feel like you haven't reached your magic, even if you feel like there's something missing, a big part of it can start releasing itself once you go and heal those wounds. So if you have we're getting back to the affirmations. If you have some of these affirmations that aren't really triggering those feelings in you that you want, figure out what is the underlying root cause. Not just saying a lot of stuff that doesn't feel right. I've done this so much. I've been standing there in the mirror or like saying to myself, reading out some affirmations, and it's just like they don't make me feel, either they don't make me feel anything or they make me feel like a fraud. Okay, so let's go back to why does this make me feel like a fraud? Oh, because it's not true. Okay, but why is it not true? What is it that is blocking? What is it that is hindering? What is it that is creating this image that you have of yourself? Because how you show up in the world has everything to do with how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself. So how can you feel the most incredible about yourself and your gifts and want to go out there and share your magic and want to go out there and make the world a better place and create your movement and, take part in your vision, build out your vision, make big dreams and all of this stuff? How can you do that when you're still blocked? Let's remove those blockers. Let's go in and feel. Let's go feel the good things. Let's go reframe the stories. And let's go just live incredible lives. Just live that freaking incredible life. We have this one life. Let's live it to the fullest. Okay? So that was a quick one for me today. I hope you're having an incredible week. If this was in any way helpful, if it helped you have like a small aha moment, please let me know what rang that bell for you. And if you're going to do something else differently. And I know I'm giving you a lot of options here to comment. If you have a future topic or a question or if something was not clear, please put it in the comments. I love the suggestions. So let me know. And thank you for today. Bye.